What follows is a series of soggy, wet, and watery stories. They take place in one of the wettest mountainous regions in the world. To the west of the Sichuan Basin, from the low-lying Chengdu Plain, a transition zone starts. It forms a barrier with an altitude difference of more than 2,500 meters along the line of the Minshan Mountains, Chonglai Mountains, Da Shui Mountains, Da Xiangling Mountains, Xiaoshanling Mountains, and Da Liang Mountains. This barrier blocks the southeast monsoon from the Pacific Ocean and the southwest monsoon from the Indian Ocean. It causes water vapor to condense, resulting in an abundance of precipitation in the mountains. This is the West China Rain Zone. From around mid-April, the temperature gradually rises. The animals that live in the mountains become more active. Some strange-looking leaves sit deep in the dense forest of Mount Qin Chung. They are contracted and stuck together. Inside of them are foam and granules, and there is a small pond under every tree. Zhao Li is a veteran entomologist and herpetologist. He is about to uncover the secrets of this forest.
青城山的生物多样性非常的丰富，随时观察这里物种的一些变化，因为自然生态的记录需要一个长期的工作。
As night falls, the pond starts coming to life. A big courtship party has begun. It's the breeding season, and male Ome whipping frogs have come from everywhere to compete for the right to mate. Ome whipping frogs only mate on dark nights. Few people have seen the act take place.
这就是我当时拍到的一段挺珍贵的画面，一只雌蛙被4只雄蛙同时追求。你看，它上面还有这些地方都还有雄蛙在旁边虎视眈眈地等着。一只雌蛙正在排出它的卵，雄蛙就在它背上排出精子。这些卵最后会被雌蛙用它的后腿把两边的树叶反包过来，这样防止被太阳晒干。
The shelter in the tree can keep fertilized frog spawn away from the dangers of the water. But in the jungle, there are risks everywhere. Ants are intimidating predators and will not leave any food untouched. The gelatinous coat on frog spawn is pliable and tough enough to resist the ants. But those stunted eggs are now nothing more than trophies for the ant colony. The predator is just by its side, separated only by a transparent gelatinous coat. "7 days. That's the time the frog spawn needs to mature and escape its tree-dwelling predators." In the West China rain zone, there is never a lack of rain. With the help of rain, the frog spawn's temporary shelter is opened, and the tadpoles fall into the water. The coming of the rain marks the start of a new life cycle. Some tadpoles won't be so fortunate, and may even become food for larger tadpoles. But life never stops. "200 kilometers south of Mount Qingcheng is a swamp in Mount Emei, about 1,500 meters above sea level. It is home to the Emei music frogs, which have just started their performance. The sound comes from the vocal sacs on both sides of the male frog's throat. Male frogs attract females by announcing their whereabouts through combinations of different syllables. Emei music frogs are good at nesting. Male frogs will build shallow mud nests in the grass by a pond or ditch as a nuptial house. Amphibians are indicator organisms. If a population thrives in an area, it means that it has abundant precipitation and good water quality. The West China rain zone is about 50 kilometers wide from east to west and 450 kilometers from north to south. It covers a narrow area of about 25,000 square kilometers. It is difficult for water vapor to spread in so many mountains and valleys. This results in lots of clouds and fog. The mountain's various inhabitants have evolved special traits to adapt to the humid and rainy environment. It's May, and the monsoon is in full swing. Various flowers bloom in the rain in the broad-leaved forests at 2,000 meters above sea level. This is also the time when dove trees are in bloom. The white wings are actually bracts, wrapping the inflorescence. The real flowers are the little purple-black balls. The pollen of the dove tree is very delicate and loses its vitality when exposed to water. The large bracts serve as umbrellas that protect the pollen from the rain. When the breeze blows, the flowers look like the flapping wings of white doves, giving the tree its name. In the rainy climate of the West China rain zone, this special umbrella-like structure has enabled the dove tree to evolve and survive. The dove tree settled here 70 million years ago, even before the Qinghai Tibetan Plateau was formed. Over the past 2.6 million years, multiple ice ages left most of the Hengduan Mountains covered by glaciers. But the dove tree was lucky. It survived in the valleys and recovered lost ground after the glaciers receded, becoming a relict plant. The princess tree is over 30 meters tall. Like the dove tree, it is also chosen to bloom face down. The princess tree lives in a similar area to the dove tree and has evolved in the same way. The downward growing petals protect its stamens and pistils from rain. The flamboyant red vein abutilin has also mastered this skill. It comes from South America and is a new resident of the West China rain zone. Different plants choose similar strategies to overcome the same challenges for survival. The red vein abutilin also protects its stamens and pistils by flowering downward. This fascinating biological phenomenon also occurs in animals. Bumblebees are the most active plant pollinators. Receiving nectar is their reward. Some birds feed on nectar, like Mrs. Gould's sunbirds. The males have a fiery red body, while the females are yellowish-green. Sunbirds can easily reach into the stamens and pistils with their long and slender beaks. Their tongues are perfect for sucking nectar. The Mrs. Gould sunbird looks so similar to the hummingbird of the Americas that it is also known as the Asian hummingbird. The two are not related, but both evolved the same long beaks to feed on nectar from flowers that grow horizontally or downward. The West China rain zone is located at 30 degrees north latitude. It's one of the 200 places with the best ecological environment in the world. In 2021, the Giant Panda National Park was established, most of which was located within the West China rain zone. This helps enhance the connectivity of the giant panda's habitat and strengthens the overall protection of mountain biodiversity. It also creates an important national ecological barrier. The red panda is a star among mountain animals and is also considered a living fossil. But despite the name, they are not closely related to the giant panda. During the rainy season, red pandas like to take shelter in trees. Most of the time they are solitary and do not even like to socialize with their own kind. In Sichuan, the locals call them loners of the mountain. The red panda lives in coniferous forests and mixed coniferous forests at altitudes of 2,500 to 4,800 meters. They prefer warm and humid environments, but can also tolerate high altitudes and cold. Their thick fur has 2 layers, protecting them from both water and cold. This makes them very adaptable to the environment of the mountain forests. The Sichuan takin is a mountain animal that loves to live in groups and often moves with its family. There can be dozens and even over 100 takins in a herd. Their line sometimes stretches for hundreds of meters in the valley. A broken log in the mountain catches the attention of this takin, causing it to fall behind the herd. Down in the valley, its family has moved further away. It begins to feel uneasy. The nitrate on the rocks by the stream brings it some comfort, but it still needs to return to the herd as soon as possible. By following the hoof prints and scent on the ground, the herd is finally reunited. Every now and then, the leader of the herd reminds all its members to stay in formation. This takin herd is heading to higher slopes. They are good climbers and have a very large activity area. Depending on the season, takins can reach destinations that have altitude differences of over 2,000 meters. Adult male takins weighing between 400 kilograms and 1 ton serve as the herd's guards. They look around vigilantly so that other members can graze, rest, and even play. Playing on 80-degree slopes is dangerous, but it helps the members bond with each other and defines their places in the herd. The Giant Panda National Park is an important place for large mountain animals that migrate and need a large living space. Ya'an is the most central city in the West China Rain Zone. It has a humid climate and moderate altitude. The rain has given this place a precious gift, mungding tea. Dense tea trees spread over the mountains. From above, they look like the fingerprints of the earth. Tea has changed the way people live in China and around the world. Mungding tea has a recorded history of over 2,000 years. It was part of the origin and development of tea and is a living fossil of tea culture. Today, there are 650,000 people in the Ya'an area who work in the tea industry. Tens of thousands of tons of mungding tea are sold to 33 countries and regions around the world every year. Ya'an was an important starting point on the ancient Tea Horse Road. It rains on more than 200 days a year here. The city is known as the leaky sky of western Sichuan. The Tea Horse Road runs through the West China Rain Zone, and many sections of it are in mountains and valleys. For more than 1,000 years, caravans carried tea leaves and connected the Chengdu Plain with the Qinghai Tibet Plateau. The many ancient towns along the route have witnessed the changes on this ancient road. It is a story that has continued for over 1,000 years. The streams collect water, flow down the mountains, and eventually take the rainwater from the West China Rain Zone into rivers. The rivers slow down in the valleys and plains. Both sides of the rivers are also home to human settlements. Waders prefer slow-flowing water, where they can forage more easily. The tall and dense canopy of the Phoebe Gennan forest lines the banks of the Qingyi River in Ya'an. It's the perfect place for little egrets and eastern cattle egrets to nest. But space is limited. The egret couples must seize nesting sites and find nesting materials from the nearby bamboo forest. The eastern cattle egret has orange-yellow feathers on its head and neck. Unlike the little egret, they mainly feed on insects and do not catch fish. They live next to each other and get along well. The rainy season is also the breeding season for egrets. Both the little egret and the cattle egret need about 24 days to hatch. New life emerges. The egret couples are under great pressure. The chicks have a huge appetite and constantly demand food. The little egrets must catch fresh fish to feed their chicks. The nearly 1,000 rivers of the West China Rain Zone provide them with abundant food. Waders all use similar techniques for fishing. They stand by the water and wait patiently. When the chance comes, they do the job with one strike. The black-crowned night heron's catch gets the attention of the little egret. But its chance is already gone. The black-crowned night heron is stubby and has a short neck. It's active in the morning and at night. Small fish, amphibians, reptiles, and crustaceans in shallow water are all on the little egret's menu. Years of river management have led to an increase in wild fish populations. With awareness of environmental protection growing, a virtuous cycle of ecological improvement has been created. People live by the rivers, alongside the herons. This place of abundant rainfall is also a secret paradise of living things. The West China Rain Zone is a rare climactic geographic unit in China. It's also an irreplaceable key area for biodiversity conservation and research. This crisscross of mountains and rivers not only form the green lungs of Sichuan, they also serve as the transition zone between cities and mountainous nature reserves. It is an ideal home for humans and wildlife to live together in harmony. Long may it remain so.